Hi everyone, it's Rebecca from Awesome Archie here, and this is just a quick video talking about school refusal and the things that we can do to help our child. Now, it's really important to remember that school refusal, and I really don't like that term because it isn't like a child is just refusing to go because they can't be bothered. It's an anxiety-based need for control. And when a child is essentially refusing to go into school consistently, it isn't because they just can't be bothered and they don't want to. It's because their nervous system has been activated. They're in fight or flight and they simply feel that they are too anxious, they're not safe, and they cannot go in. Now, there are a number of things that we can do in school because, as you know, here at Awesome Archie, we support both parent carers and school staff. And there are a number of things that we can do on either side to help support these children who deserve an education just like everyone else. So in school, it's important, and this is fundamental, that the school and the parents work together to find out the cause of that anxiety. Because unless the cause of that anxiety has been found and that anxiety dealt with and eliminated, this situation is not going to get any better. The school can also work together with the child in school and to kind of create a more personalised routine for that child. Now, we are becoming experienced in this because we have a child who has autism with a PDA profile. And that means that essentially whenever he is not able to use his complete autonomy, he feels unsafe, he goes into fight or flight. So actually, by the school allowing him to have some choice, for example, my son is allowed to leave the classroom at any point. He's got a special pass and he can go to a learning centre if he chooses to do so. That has been remarkably helpful, and it has meant that his attendance has perked up a little bit. Also for schools, if there is flexibility in the order of which things can be learned, then that's a brilliant tool that we can actually get our pupil to then decide their own kind of timetable. I realise that's going to be impossible within a senior school environment, but in a primary junior, often these things are more flexible, and that's a great thing to do. School teachers, TAs, lunch staff, please recognise the most small achievement. For a child who is absent through school refusal, for them to even be through that door and sat in your classroom is an absolute win. Welcome them back warmly. Again, it can be a little bit tricky if you've got a child with PDA. That welcome might embarrass them a little bit and they may feel the need to respond with a thank you, which could be perceived as a silent demand. So you have to try and juggle that in your own way. You'll know your pupil better than I do, for example. But if you feel it appropriate, welcome them back. Congratulate them on anything they manage to achieve, because actually that will really help them feel welcomed, part of the team, and valued within your classroom. And also, this is a really important one, and it's something that we're very lucky with within our own son's senior school, is the reduction of homework. Actually, sometimes my son will not be able to complete homework, and that's because he has spent all of his resources in just being in school. We're okay with that. At the end of the day, an unhappy child and an exhausted child will not learn anyway. So no amount of excessive homework is going to help with that. So schools and parents, if you could work together to find a way of knowing that if that child hasn't done their homework, it isn't because they can't be bothered. It's because you've decided as a family and as a team that your child needed some rest, and actually doing that homework was not going to be helpful. And if they had done their homework, they might have been back absenting the next day because they've spent all of their resources on that homework when it's not necessary. Parents, these are tips for you, but it's really important, schools, that you hear what I'm saying so you know where this information is coming from. Parents, please do contact the staff and keep contacting the staff. Don't be fobbed off. Now, I'm not saying schools deliberately fob you off. That is not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is schools are really busy places. And if you say that you have a concern and then you never say it again, the likelihood is, unless they are really on the ball and they're super busy, I don't know many schools that are going to attack things on the first go. You're going to have to be persistent. Don't be fobbed off. Most schools are brilliant and they're there to help your child. And unfortunately, if you don't have that experience, and I'm really sorry, and if that's the case, you're going to need to go above the head. You're going to need to go to the governors. You're going to need to go above and beyond. And every school will have their kind of complaints policy, whistleblowing policy if you're a staff member on their own website. By law, they have to do that. So that information is there for you if you need to. But most schools that I work with actually really want to do their best for their children, but they're under the same restraints as we are. The funding's rubbish, the training's rubbish. And until we get a situation where those things are changing, it's up to us as parents to do as much of the backbone work as we can to help support those schools. Therefore, that will then help our child have a happier education. Please, please, please never allow your child to be forcibly dragged into school. This is something that you wouldn't imagine I'd have to say, but it does happen. We don't drag a child in. If a child isn't going in willingly, then that's up to a parent to help support that, and a school to support that parent also. You guys may have come up with an IEP or EHCP handover. That's your business, that's different. But other than that, we shouldn't be forcibly dragging a child into school, metaphorically or physically, because actually what will happen is that, again, that anxiety, the reason they're forcibly being dragged in isn't being dealt with. So we need to deal with that. Otherwise, the situation is not going to get any better. Now, this is something that I found really difficult as a parent because I am a previous TA, a qualified Senko. I know how the system works and I know how important school attendance is. And there is also a huge amount of pressure with these, because by law they have to give you attendance letters. They have to check on you. In fairness, it's because we need to make sure that these children are being cared for correctly. So I understand it. But I do not let schools pressure me into sending my child in. If his absence is low because he needed it for his mental health, for his own anxiety, for his fight or flight. I feel no guilt about that. And I do tell the school that I'm sorry, his attendance is low, but we are doing our best. I do not allow school pressure to sway my gut feeling as a mum, and we encourage you to do the same. And lastly, if you've got the time and access to the internet, do a little bit of personal research. It's so much easier when you have a good scan online and look at different forums. For example, if you're looking at the School Avoidance Alliance, there are lots of charities, there are lots of companies that offer advice. Now, some of it is going to be relevant to your child. A lot of it's probably not going to be relevant to your child, because at the end of the day, parent carers, you're the ones who know your kids the best. So you have to do a little bit of research, see what you think in your gut is going to be the best fit for your child, and then forward that to the school. And then do your best to work together as a team to try and support our child. Now, it's also probably important for me to say that sometimes the school just isn't the right fit. For Archie, mainstream school was never going to be the right fit, and in the end he's now in specialist provision, and since that day he hasn't school refused once. That's because the school is a right fit for him. So please don't think that if you're pushing, things are going to get fixed. They don't always. Sometimes a child just doesn't suit a mainstream school, and then we have to start looking at making sure that EHCP has got enough evidence to then apply to a specialist provision in the future. Just something for you to think. Hope this has been helpful. If it has, please share, like, subscribe. It helps keeps us going with the algorithm, and it means that we can keep educating ourselves and sharing that information with you for free. Have a great day.